When you're sitting in committee and you have a lobbyist come in, you're going to have lobbyists on both sides of a bill. But what you have to remember is the silent majority of people that work hard that don't have a lobbyist. And they're the ones that get stuck paying the bills for everybody. And I think what you're seeing is the silent majority across the state and across the nation beginning to wake up. And if the silent majority ever wakes up and becomes the vocal majority, we can go a long ways to taking our country back. I was born and raised on a small farm near West Plains. I never did say I grew up because my mom and dad raised me. You know, they had us in church every Sunday and Wednesday night in Bible studies. In the 80s, my wife and I started a small business, and we started our small business from scratch. We rented a house, paid $100 a month for it. The porch was where we began manufacturing trophies and plaques. The kitchen was the engraving room. The dining room and the living room was where we boxed and shipped everything out. We began the process of growing that company, and we ended up with 6 employees and a building that we built on our farm and was able to ship into 48 states and parts of Canada. About 1994, I began the process of learning things about FICA, FUTA, Missouri unemployment, all these people that had deductions from my paychecks. We had 4 hired employees, my wife and I was employed, and I would not hire the 5th employee because it fell under workman's comp and begin that process. So I began understanding the ways that government hinders small business from growth. About that time, there was a lieutenant governor from Arkansas named Mike Huckabee, spoke at our Lincoln Days that I attended, and then also spoke at our church the next day. And what he talked about was reasons people need to be in the government. And I began the process of, you know, I'm the type that I don't ask somebody to go to do something, I do it myself. So I began the process of deciding to run for state representative. My wife and no one in my family had ever been involved in politics. My mom and dad had always instilled in me to get out and vote. You know, they would always vote, encourage, tell us as kids that it was our duty to vote, that everyone that doesn't vote needs to walk through a veteran cemetery and see the white crosses of people that gave the ultimate sacrifice for you to go down 5 minutes and vote. And so I began the process of setting up and running for state representative. We began the process of organizing grassroots. I don't like to brag, but our candidate that we run against was the picked candidate of the party, and my party actually worked against me in the primary. I got outspent like 15-1, but was able to win my House seat. Served 8 years in the Missouri General Assembly in the House, and was able to move over to the Senate, and I've been 6 years in the Missouri Senate. Well, I had a dream of 2012 was when I was out on term limits. And I was going to be in the process of, I'm going to go home, I'm going to grow my beard long, I'm going to write nasty letters to the editor. That was my dream. In January, February of this year, when the seat came open for Senator Bond's seat, I was waiting for a good conservative to run, and what happened is it didn't happen. Someone that I believe that I could work for and go out and try to do the best job I could to get elected didn't come forward. People say that what you're doing can damage the Republican Party, you know, having a contested primary. But I remember something my dad did when I was 10 years old. You know, the neighborhood boy that always got you in trouble come by one day, and he had stolen a pack of cigarettes out of his mom's purse. And he says, let's go smoke these cigarettes. So we went out to the back 40, and there was one old big old oak tree in the back 40, and we sat around that tree smoking them cigarettes. And I want you to know, I did not inhale. But I did smoke. But I didn't know it at the time, but my dad was watching me through a pair of binoculars. And that night, when I walked in and he had informed me what he had done, that night he put me through a tobacco cessation program. That it did not cost the government a dime. My dad, I remember he walked in with a Peachtree switch and he said, son, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. And he says, I'm doing this because I love you. Well, I believe in the Republican Party. And you know, we got our spanking in the last election. Because I think we got our spanking is because we did not stand on our principles of what the party was founded on. And when you look back on it, in 2000, I worked hard for a party to elect people. I served in a minority party for 6 years in the Missouri House and realized that the only way you can drive the agenda is to be in the majority. So we went out and worked hard, and I was part of leadership of the Republicans that the first time we had taken over the Missouri House in 48 years. And we still have that House and Senate today. And what I'm proud of is last year, in a bad election year, it was a bad election year for Republicans, we were able to gain 3 seats in the Missouri Senate. So we bucked the trend all across the country because I think we've led with conservative leadership. We've actually lived on the money that was coming into government and allowed you to keep more, and we actually cut taxes. And I think that's what people want from their government. The Republican Party, to me, is the last great hope for America, but only if we get back to the values and beliefs that the Republican Party always stood for. Number one thing in the Republican platform is fiscal responsibility. Unfunded liabilities of our nation right now exceed $55 trillion. If you start breaking that down, that's $200,000 of debt for every family in America for promises that have already been made. Continuing the direction that we're going, we're not going to be able to survive as a nation. We as Republicans believe in free market, where as a free market society where you go out and you work hard and don't get special favors, but you work hard and you compete. But what the TARP funding is, it set up the ability of government to pick winners or losers in a free market system. That is not a free market system when government picks and chooses winners and losers. So anybody that was in our party that voted for a TARP doesn't believe in the basics of our party. Another issue that I disagree with the people that are running is a simple one, the Cash for Clunkers program. Now, I've told this that my wife wanted me to participate in Cash for Clunkers because I have an old car sitting on my carport that I've had for 31 years. And she said, I want you to go get some. So I didn't want to get rid of that car. And I said, what do you want? She says, I want something that goes 0 to 100 really fast. And I didn't know what to get her, so I drove town, I drove around for a little bit, and finally I went and bought her a bathroom scale. So it'll go 0 to 100 really quick. But what the Cash for Clunkers did was it set up the government picking winners and losers in a free market system. The day that they approved $2 billion more to go to Cash for Clunkers, my daughter's tuition come in for college, my feed bill come in, and my house payment. And my neighbor went and got a new car. And what the problem was is my money went to help buy him a new car, the money that I had worked for. And the situation was is my neighbor had an old clunker, did not make car payments, did not have full coverage insurance, now has a vehicle that he makes payments on and full coverage insurance, and I guarantee it's going to go back in a couple months because he has an inability to pay for it. But yet the government took my money to help someone else. And that is not the will of government. That's not a free market system. But that's some of the reasons that I've been running, and it's been great all across the state. I think what you're seeing out there now is what has been termed the perfect storm, and that silent majority of people beginning the process of waking up to take their country back. We have to understand that the Constitution shows the role of the federal government, and we have to make sure that our federal government stays within that role. And anything that's not defined in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution falls back to the 10th Amendment and is a job of the states. The Department of Education was created in 1974. Were we unconstitutional up to 1974? No, it was a job of anything not defined there is a role of the states and falls back to the local communities. So power is the individual, and we have to get back to where individuals are allowing them to make choices on their own and government being very limited. What I see is our party beginning the process of not standing on fundamentals and foundations of what our party was founded on. We're the last hope to turn it around, a revitalized and strong Republican Party that believes in the Constitution, that believes in balanced budget, or believes in the role of the federal government as defined under our U.S. Constitution.